there's a slight speaker accident here. We are so happy to see all of you here. We are happy to see that more than 1,000 rocket fans out there to see the launch of the Nexø II rocket. Yeah, and we will hopefully guide you through the best launch that we had until now.
Welcome, and we're sitting here in Copenhagen at our HAB workshop. We are live streaming directly from our launch site, like Søren said, at ESD 139. So welcome.
Yep, we are right now at, I think it was 0.519 on the flight plan. If you want to follow along in more detail, then you can go onto the webpage, copsup.com, and look up the article that's called the Nexø II Go for Launch Again, and in there's a link for the flight plan. So if you want to follow along, you are able to do that. So right now we will just guide you through everything that we get from the radio chatter, and we will guide you through what we know about the rocket launch today. Today is not we're not setting any records today.
No, we are testing. A lot of people are asking, that's quite a small rocket for a man. So first off, there's no man in this rocket. It's not a manned mission. And it's our second rocket in a series of rockets after we went over to by liquid rockets.
Yep. Today we are fueling with LOX, liquid oxygen, and ethanol mixture of 75%, and we are trying out some new technologies today. It's not new on a rocket scale,
no.
But for us it is new, and the reason that we are doing these tests is that on a longer term we are going to do a launch of a much bigger rocket where a person can fit inside, and this technology, the bi-liquid propellant, will enable us to scale up. So that's the reason for this fuel. Today we're testing out a technology called DPR, dynamic pressure regulation, and this technology enables us to keep a constant pressure on the engine while we burn.
Maybe we should just explain that a little bit more in detail. So it stands for Dynamic Pressure Regulating System, and on our Nexø I rocket we didn't have a DPR system, which meant that as our fuel was being used in the chambers, the pressure obviously would be falling, and we didn't get to use all of our fuel on Nexø I, and so obviously the logical thing was to say, let's try to keep our pressure as a constant, and we installed this DPR system, which will hopefully ensure that all of our fuel gets used at the right pressure, and we fly as high as possible.
Yeah, and you are able to ask us questions. We will pick them up, some of them along the way. We are not that far from launch right now, as the latest update we got was about 30 minutes, between 30 minutes and 1 hour, expect that, but as we said earlier also, this is a rocket launch, so only manned by amateurs, so expect that there could be slight delays. But as of now, we are looking at the Nexø II rocket. As you see there, there's this fragile sign that you should not touch the jet vanes during flight. So we could maybe talk about what that is all about, the jet vanes.
Yes.
They are, maybe we can call up the graphics of the jet vanes. It's number 13.
Alright, we will open the vent valve.
The jet vanes is what's helping us control the rocket during flight. So we are, with these jet vanes, able to push directly onto the
There
flame.
it is.
Yeah, I'll just zoom in. It's in the back part here of the rocket, so I'll just zoom in here. And you are able to see here, if you're looking at this part down here, you can see there are some
actuators,
they're helping
like
us. They're guiding the flame, actually. So that's what these are about. So the test today are also about testing out this dynamic pressure regulation. And
do you have signal from the tracker? Over.
Zoom out. Maybe not.
We're also, just as one of the other things that we're testing today is actually new software for our studio. So it's not just the rocket that's being tested.
No.
We are also testing our studio.
Exactly. And up here in the top part, that's where the main component of the GPR system is. That's a tank with helium that is pressurized so that we can guarantee that there's a constant pressure during the flight. Today the flight will be around 45 seconds, so during that time it will burn approximately 2 kilos of fuel per second, and in total we will have a fuel mass burned that is around 114 kilos. So quite a lot of fuel is being burned, and we will hopefully see it rise high into the sky.
Hopefully we'll go supersonic.
Yeah, it could go past 370 meters per second at the top speed. Also at the same point, I think it was max Q point.
Yeah.
So
we're very excited.
We are very much looking forward to this. We have been hearing and talking to the developers of this rocket. Of course, we do not build the rocket ourselves. We have enough
it's
to
just
do
you
here.
and me, son.
Yeah, I just built a rocket. All these guys out in the Baltic Sea, they're just
We just use them for decoration.
Yes, of course. But no, of course,
Actually,
we have a lot of volunteering persons in Copenhagen Suborbitals, more than 50. I think the last number I heard was
closer to 60, maybe even.
Yeah. So a lot of persons are volunteering their time here. So and we mainly and only live off donations.
Right.
So people donating money. So you can go into, if you want to donate and see us launch more rockets after this one, you can go into the COPSOF webpage and see more in there.
If you want more rockets, bigger rockets, rockets more frequently, all of the above.
Yeah. As Sheila mentioned also, we are streaming from our very own developed streaming system. It's called Snowmix, and it's developed by a guy called Peter Maersk, who's sitting next to us. You can't see him, he's very shy.
He's over there.
Yeah, but he's very cool, and he enabled us to do all these live streaming things where we can zoom and draw, and all this stuff is being made, and it's this software is out, open source. So if you want to play around with it, you're also able to do that, and I know that Peter Maersk will be very happy if you do so. So,
that is absolutely
and we actually planned to interview a lot of these people that, I mean, we each do something really unique and bring something unique to the board. And I wanted to, Søren also, to interview quite a few of our personnel, but it seems that we are running out of time, and we have to cut out our interviews for today.
We'll see if there's time, then we'll do some interviews, but otherwise we'll just follow along and see what it is that all of you guys want to see. Hopefully a rocket that flies high into the sky, about 13 kilometers was the last number I heard, but we can't know for sure what the
We did calculations up to 14.
Yeah. So if we're lucky, then we'll get it there. From that apogee, the highest point of the flight, a lute, as a type of parachute, will unfold, and it will drift for a while until a real parachute will unfold, and then the rocket will hopefully glide down. I don't know if any of you saw the last rocket, Nexø II.
Nexø I launch?
Yeah, we had a malfunction with anomaly with the parachute, so it actually came down quite a bit more fast than we expected. So
it's actually, I want to say that our parachute team is doing an excellent job building and designing the parachute system. So it's not an error with the parachute, it's simply that our rocket was deploying the balloon too fast.
Yep.
Right?
No signal.
It's a timing.
Probably a battery issue, then we will skip this.
I think it was some software also, but I can't know for sure. But from the apogee it will drift, and I think the last number was around 3 kilometers that it can drift from the apogee point that is approximately above the launch pad.
Is that the latest updates from the weather forecast?
No, not really, because I got it from an article I read a couple of days ago.
Okay.
So I don't know what the weather forecast says today. But today we also we're launching from the Baltic Sea. maybe we could talk about why we do that.
Maybe we should show a map
Yeah.
of where we're located
flight,
in relation
over.
to our launch site. And
Go bad.
many people don't know Denmark so well.
Status
We're
report,
a small
2
country.
canisters loaded.
If we can
proceeding
call
with
up the
third
deployment
canister.
map, it's
Standby.
file number 01.
Roger.
So
We are
but we're a
launching-
very happy country, even though we're small.
Oh yeah, very happy. We also, our media love to underline that or stress that we are the happiest
We're so
people.
happy.
Oh yeah, all the time.
It's
So
because we get to build rockets.
some of us, 60 of us in Denmark. I know there's quite a lot of more people building rockets. They are not built by amateurs, all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is part of Denmark. It's Zealand to the left and Sweden up in the top, and then we have Bornholm to the right.
Yes. And about 35 kilometers east, directly east of Bornholm, as you can see, it's a direct linear line to our launch site.
flight.
It takes about 3 hours
Go.
for them to sail out with our launch pad.
Max
Yeah, I
transfer
heard
from
that they
Bolivia to
is planning
Sputnik
to sail
8
out
over.
around 12.
At midnight.
Yeah, midnight.
Last night.
Yeah.
So don't worry, we don't have to wait for them to sail out. They are already on location.
Yeah, they have been there for quite some time now.
Yes.
And the launch site that we have today is what is called the ESD 139. It's a pretty large square and a triangle on top of each other. And from that, in that space, we close off both air traffic and also marine traffic. And if you want to, you can go onto the marine traffic webpage, and you can also look at air traffic. I can't remember that name.
The air traffic control is called
Flight radar.
Flight Radar 24.
Yeah. And you can look it up and follow along as you see that traffic is directed around this launch site. We cancelled the launch last week. That was connected to this ESD 139.
Right.
But maybe we can call up the pictures of the rocket again, and then we can talk a little bit more about the cancellation. It was the air traffic control in Sweden that called off the launch last week because of forest fires in Sweden. That we have a lot. They had a lot of trouble with, and they didn't have the resources to close off an entire airspace. 130 ESD 139, I've heard, is one of it's pretty trafficked area.
It's a
So-
quite busy air traffic area.
So right now we're looking at the Nexø II rocket.
Flight transfer complete.
See that it's a pretty huge
Over.
rocket, but it's as you mentioned earlier, it's not large enough for a man. So we are testing out technologies to make sure that we can upscale it to being able to launch a person 100 kilometers up into the air.
And people who aren't into rocket building or manufacturing or machining and things like this, engine building, may not realize that with most things, you can say that things are what is it called when they're similar? Like you take and you can just upscale it, and you expect it to have the same dynamics and results. And it's not so with the solid, the hybrid engine. Sorry, which is why we've gone over to the hybrid.
It's
or the bi-liquid.
somewhat easier to upscale, but nothing is easy, and it's also much more expensive to do the planned Spica rocket. So that's also why we are trying out on a small scale first, and then we will at a later time be able to do hopefully the Spica rocket.
Right.
Yeah.
But our dynamic pressure regulating system and the jet vanes and most of the technology should be pretty simple to upscale. Is
Yep.
that correct?
That's
Okay.
flight.
I just say yes, but I really don't know.
We
There
have
will be
completed
experts
section 12. Fuel
shaking
vent
their
is
heads
closed.
now and saying,
Over.
have they thought of? And no, we haven't. We didn't. We really didn't.
We actually have not fully
whoa,
decided
why
about
did that
what
happen,
the
Mike?
engine design will be on the
You
Spica
said
rocket.
you
So
completed fuel
we'll probably
loading,
not talk
over.
so much about that.
No.
Don't think we
What
call
we see
that
now
one
is
in.
a live view
Blue
from
reported a
Nexø
tax transfer complete, not a fuel
II
transfer. Over.
rocket. It is on board the floating platform Sputnik.
All
And
right,
as we said
I was-
earlier, we
okay,
are
my bad.
launching from the
We'll
Baltic
open
Sea.
fuel vent
The
again.
reason
Is that
that
correct,
we
over?
are launching out there is
We
that
are still loading the third canister.
Denmark is not a very big
Please stand by.
country, so we don't have areas large enough
But the fuel
on
vent is
land
closed at
to
this moment, so
do,
I will open, correct,
yeah,
over?
safe launches.
We don't have any area that's uncrowded.
Yeah, smaller
Yeah,
rockets are
sorry you
able to
dropped
do
out
it,
there,
and
flight.
we have a
Fuel
history
vent valve is open. Can you confirm, over?
of smaller buildings.
Negative,
in
but I
Denmark.
will open it, over.
But if we want to
All
do a
right.
manned
They're
launch,
pressurizing
then
the
we have
transfer
to
canister,
have
so
a
anytime
lot of
you feel-
space around. So that's why we are in the Baltic Sea
Fuel
and
vent is open.
have built a floating platform with all the trouble that comes with that. There's a ton of logistics.
Right, so it means that we also need a fleet of ships. Our mission control is not on land, it's on a ship. And our recovery and everything, our stream has to work long distance. It makes everything a lot more difficult. We have to have generators and batteries, power supply that is movable.
Yeah. We have a lot of ships. We have 2 rips. What were they called also?
A rib boat or a large dinghy.
A large dinghy that are doing the transportation of people to and from the launch platform, and the commanding vessel. I don't know what the correct word is there. It's called Bolette. It's a large ship.
Our mission control ship.
Mission control ship. Thank you. And we are able to transport people to and from the launch pad. So they are actually kind of taxis at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a pretty important job because the sea is pretty cold to swim.
Yes, and if and if there is high sea, even in low winds, you can get a meter or 2 waves. So personnel transfer is definitely something we've practiced during our sea acceptance tests.
Yeah, but and the reason we need calm weather is also obvious. We can't launch a rocket if there's high waves, or high sea, then it's not possible to do that. As you can see, there's a lot of people on the launch pad right now, so the launch is not imminent. We are probably looking at some waiting
All stations,
time.
all
I haven't
stations,
heard
this is
anything
mission
on the radio for
control.
a couple
Remember,
minutes.
inter-ship
I haven't
communication
heard
is channel
anything.
06,
So
that is
right now
06. Over.
we do not know anything more than you do. Maybe if someone on the chat can update us update us all, that would be cool. Okay.
But definitely, there won't be that many people on the launch pad when they're loading locks. And at the point of loading locks, what 15, 20 minutes?
Actually, the guy loading locks are responsible for loading locks. That's the guy right next to the Nexø II rocket right now with the yellow helmet. Nice guy called Rune. He's responsible for that. And then we have Bianca to the right of him. She's an all-round networking person.
Without her, you wouldn't be able to see any of this, probably.
Flight pad, over.
She's very, very skilled with networks. Then we have right of the railing, we have Klaus Meiling.
Yes.
He's doing
Go
video that you will be able to
I
see,
am happy
not
to
live,
report
but later on.
611.
Yeah, so
Fuel
we
loading
have
complete,
different
over.
video crews. We have streaming, which is what
Thank
you
you.
guys are seeing
We
now,
will
but then we have
close
a
the
media
fuel
team.
vent valve. Step 6,
Photographers,
12, over.
still pictures, and as a mathematician, physicist, when I first started here, I
Can you
thought I kind
confirm,
of grouped
fuel
everyone
vent valve is
together
closed,
under
over?
one media.
I can
I
confirm.
thought all humanists were in one
12,
group.
cruise
But
vent.
I realized that
Over.
it's quite specific, actually,
Thank you.
and
Ready
it's
to proceed on your
quite
initiative,
structured,
over?
and the logistics is quite deep.
Yeah, and then we of course
Yeah, then
do
we're at
a lot of
6:13,
specific plans
reestablish
for once
moisture free.
when the
Over.
reality comes along.
Yeah.
Roger,
send
Which
us
is also
back.
really different than
Yeah.
what I'm used to.
Stand by.
In the back there, what
Is
boat
that a
is
pad
that?
transfer?
I don't know. I can't see what boat it is.
But let's see if we can get, if we have time, maybe we can get someone to tell us from the studio whether we have time for an interview. Otherwise, maybe we should.
The biggest change, we could talk about that from the last rocket, that is the DPR system. And also you can see a very, people with a guy and attention to detail, we'll also see that the tail fins have been changed. And then a very important change for the stream team, that is, we have onboard cameras.
Yes.
So we will hopefully be able to see live
That's
feed
right.
from the rocket.
Pointing in all kinds of directions.
Yeah, well, yeah, down and up at
And
least.
sideways also, I think.
There's a sideways camera. So this is so cool. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this launch.
I wish we had a replay button so we could.
Yeah.
While they're doing recovery, we'll just watch the replay. No.
And the guy to the right of the rocket right now with the military sun hat, he is Pat. That's Jakob Larsen. He's responsible for everything going on right now.
He's our pad lead, and he's the last person to leave the launch pad also. So when we see him leave, then we know it's about time.
Yeah. Then nobody should come back, at least.
Yes. I wonder how far away the mission control ship is from Sputnik at the moment. Do we have a camera from our mission control ship?
A few hundred meters.
There we go. There we see
looks
it.
like. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can also see it's gone now, but the RIP boat is transporting people to and from the launch pad.
We can see
Bye,
that
bye, pad
the mission
over.
control ship is
Go, Pat.
I can complete.
teetering in the waves.
Sorry, I can report.
Kind of gives you an
step
idea of what it would be
613
like
completed over.
standing out there.
Thank you. Is it correct that we're still missing 6-2 and 6-4 over?
We should now revert to 6-2
I'm
and
thinking
6-4 over.
we should. I would really love to talk to Bo.
Bo Brandstrup?
Yes. Our brain behind our rocket brain.
Yeah. Our rocket brain. Yeah.
So, Pat,
Bo Brandstrup,
does that mean we're
he's
going
the
for
guy
6-2
who
now?
designed
Over?
the computer on board.
Yes, I can
the
report pad
rocket.
crew ready to
And,
carry out
Named
6-2 over.
CS Duino.
Oh,
All right, you're
And-
go for 6-2.
Well, if we're going to interview him, I'll
Carrying
wait
out
to talk
step
about it till he
6-2,
comes
stand
in.
Okay, yeah. But you can maybe introduce him while I get him.
Okay, so Bo Brandstrup. Some of you may have seen a video where he explains. We have many videos out on our YouTube channel, and you may have seen a video where he explains about the CS Duino and why we had the need to build our own computer and what demands he wanted to compensate for, and yeah, are we going to be able to use it for all of our rockets, or are we going to need to expand on it, or are we going to start over with something new? So give me 1 minute, and I'm going to go outside and check to see if he's available, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Hello, Bo. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Let me just make sure your microphone is. There you go.
Ta-da.
Thank you so
Yep.
much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I know it's not your favorite thing,
No, it isn't.
no, but we really
Flight-
want to
flight
pluck
pad over.
your brain, and I'm sure there's some people
Go.
that have questions for you also.
Step 6-2
But I
completed.
would like to
Launch
start with,
rail
why
transport
did
clamps have
we
been removed over.
have a need to
All right,
build
then
our
you'll
own
go for
computer?
6-4, lost
Oh.
insulation, over?
A couple of
Roger,
years ago, we
initiating
used
step
the
6-4, stand by.
Arduino, computers, and we had a very time-consuming little mishap with a mechanical fastener that short-circuited the board, and so we found out that the original Arduino simply ain't suited very well for our use, mechanically speaking. So we decided to design our own circuit board. It's more or less the same as the electronics is more or less the same as your original Arduino, the Arduino Duo model. But we did a circuit board which is much more suited for our purposes.
Is it-
mechanically speaking?
So it's stronger.
It's there's more mounting holes, and they have like been spaced out and so on.
So does that mean you're able to implement further designs on it than you would have been able to on the prior model?
We did implement a lot of level translators and ports, and especially serial interface ports on our own design, because we knew we would need that, and in that way we avoided using a lot of add-on boards. So
Could we have
that's
just
also-
have used multiple computers, one for each segment, and then had them communicate together? Would that have been another option?
No, that's more or less what we do now.
Is what we do. But the
They communicate with each other through serial connections. RS-232, I think. Oh, sorry, it's RS-485. And if we had been using the original Arduinos, we would have to add all these ports onto every one of them. So by using our own, we implemented all the ports on the same circuit board, and then we didn't have to add on all the time.
Does that make the communication between the different? I'm not a software engineer, so
Neither am I.
I feel like I'm out of my water, or out of comfortable water. But so does that mean that it makes it easier to add on? Let's say, for example, with this rocket, we wanted to add a dynamic pressure regulating system.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easier because we had our CS-Duino? Would it have been a bigger project to add it on with the setup we had before?
It would have required a bit of extra boards to put into the boxes, so it made it a bit easier. And also we were sure that the way we implemented it would be mechanically feasible for use in a rocket where the environment is very harsh with vibration and all sorts of nasty
Right,
stuff.
of course. That's something that regular people don't really think about when you're shopping motherboards.
It's something that you don't have to care about because it's not present
Right.
normally.
So will this CS-Duino, will it carry us through to our next rocket, or?
No, it will not. We have used it for the Nexø rockets, and we have found out that instead of using a lot of serial standard communication, we would rather have an adaptation of Ethernet. So
Okay.
we'll make a new computer for our own use, and it will be based on a processor which already has an Ethernet interface integrated to make it as easy as possible hardware-wise to implement it with I think it will be two Ethernet interfaces,
Okay.
so that the different computers will communicate through that instead of the more old-fashioned serial interface.
Is that because you experienced that you had wished that those design had been implemented on the CS-Duino? Is it because we have had experience with the CS-Duino that you are changing the design, or is it because the rocket has different demands?
We have found out that although we thought initially that all the serial connectors would be a good idea, they are a good idea, but they work fine, but they require a lot of wiring through the rocket from one end to the other and back again. And
So
that wiring
That's not
we would
so-
like to
yeah.
minimize
Right.
as much as possible. And that's why we go for an Ethernet
Okay.
kind of communication instead. Then
Are
we
you
can-
excited about
then,
that?
Well, we haven't started design on it yet. We have only started thinking
Talking about it, yeah.
and talking and finding what processor should we use and can we use this and that and so on. So it's still on
I'm
on the
curious.
concept level.
When you're designing or talking about what could be feasible and what could be good and what would be bad, do you then think about our other departments like the capsule team? How much electronics do you then say, okay, how much will you guys need of this in to make your capsule work? Or do you first yourselves think about what and then later check with the different departments?
Well, we try to anticipate. And the way we'll do it now, or in the future, sorry, is that we will, instead of having a lot of sensors hooked up to one computer and have a lot of rather long wiring from this computer to the sensors, and the sensors have to be placed where they have to be placed because they are sensing something very specific.
Right.
Then we would, because we are having fewer wires for communication between computers, we will have more computers which will have local sensors, so we will place the computer where the sensors need to be, instead of having wiring between the computer, where it's nice to have that one, and the sensors.
So it's like we're just, it's kind of like when you reorganize your politics in a country and say we're moving this ministry over here.
Oh, you might say that, yes, but we'll have more computers, and we'll have less wiring, and that will
optimize the design.
We think that will be a benefit, and that will also be easy for the capsule people to say we need these sensors,
right,
and we need them here and there,
right,
and then we'll just say, okay, no problem, we'll give you a computer to put here for those sensors, and another computer, if that's far away from the first one, you get another one for these sensors up here, and then we just have an Ethernet connection between the two, and they'll communicate that way, and they will then be integrated in the overall environment of computers,
right,
because we'll always have one main computer, so to speak, which will collect all the telemetry data obtained from the sensors, which will be sent to ground in the rocket. Because, for instance, the guidance and navigation will need to know about
exactly
pressure and so on in the engine. So one computer will delegate or distribute data. From different units to the units that need those data. So we'll minimize the data flow.
Because as someone on the capsule team, I mean, I didn't know that, and it makes my job more exciting.
Yeah, but we try to make your job easier. You don't have to think about that, because, well, you just ask for and you'll get.
We want the oxygen to always be at this level, and then you make sure that your computer.
We'll make sure you have a computer that will monitor that requirement and then act upon it.
Well, this is really fun, because even as you're learning, I'm also learning at the same time. And I'm not sure what's going on with the status of the flight plan, so I think I need to get Søren back in here. But I know you have a family in California. Did you want to make a shout out?
I hope that Don Sørensen is watching. He's probably up late. He's in Santa Barbara, California. So he's following us all the time.
Well, hi, Santa Barbara. And I also have California family members, so hi to all of you guys. Thank you both for coming in, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Hopefully we'll get to interview you again another time.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Bye.
And we get Søren back in here. Hopefully he'll have an update on the flight plan.
Yeah, right now we are just before we're in 6.66 in the flight plan. We are just prior to LOX loading, so we are very, very close right now. Maybe we should introduce the bottom part of the screen of your live stream. We have the flight plan in a condensed form. You can see that the status of the mission right now. You can see people are just at the moment are picking up their stuff and are loading them into the rib boats. But in the bottom you can see that we are at the part where the fuel has been loaded, and we are preparing for LOX loading. And when LOX liquid oxygen is being loaded, then there should be as few people as possible on the launch pad. It's the part where the rocket goes from a fueled rocket to a dangerous fueled rocket.
Right.
So
pressurized.
Yeah, because what we do when we launch a rocket is that we do a Actually a long explosion that pushes up the rocket. So we don't want to be near the rocket when LOX has been loaded.
So we probably should see some personnel transfer going on as we're getting ready to load LOX.
Yeah, and I think that right now Rune, he is pushing around some crates. Rune, he was the guy, a bald guy, very big.
He's
And-
always wearing a yellow hard hat.
Yep.
Right.
And he is he's the guy who is preparing the LOX tank right now. We are listening here on the radio.
I missed that. Did you hear?
No, they're talking about that we have some communication errors. People on the stream will see that the screen will flicker almost constantly, and that's because we have packet losses on the network.
Okay.
We are streaming around 40 kilometers out in the Baltic Sea, so that's quite a lot of way to transport our data.
And a lot of people don't realize that we don't. I mean, maybe when I mention it, it becomes logical, but we don't have our own satellite, and we don't have the rights to a satellite, so we can't, like NASA and SpaceX, have this fancy communication. We are actually streaming because of a home-built. It's an old Alto helm that has been rebuilt with a Wi-Fi router, and we have a whole video out on our YouTube channel explaining exactly how we're able to stream from our
We are
launch
streaming
site.
through a relay station in Bornholm, and where we get our signal to Copenhagen from that relay station in
Right.
Bornholm, and we have home-built antennas and all sorts of cool stuff there as well. We like to build things ourselves for some reason. The cameras are not built by ourselves.
No.
We don't have that skill. We can build rockets.
Yeah.
At the moment, there are still a lot of people, and we have no updates on whether the LOX loading is imminent, but we will get you the updates as soon as possible. And the weather is quite hot as well out in the Baltic Sea right now. I saw a thermometer on one of the production screens saying around 28 degrees centigrade. So in Denmark, that's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot.
Yep.
Especially when you're out in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
Where there's a cool.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of shade right now.
The only shade they have is moving about every minute around the launch pad, and it's about 20 centimeters wide.
Yep.
And about 40
it's a
meters
sun
long.
clock. Yeah. Sun clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are just getting the update right now that LOX, no, not LOX, but alcohol loading has been commenced, and we are going to fill it up, as we said earlier, with liquid oxygen. And you will see when we fuel it up with liquid oxygen that a lot of condensation will occur.
Evaporate.
Yeah, a lot of evaporation, and nothing is wrong when we get to that point. It's only if we see people jumping into the ocean that we will probably cut away and say we have a slight malfunction. So,
Slight malfunction.
Pad crew and
Actually, we are.
ready for LOX loading.
One of the things is that when you were an amateur group, is no one is forced to come. No one is not happy about being here, and everyone has really done their best to meet all specifications, protocols, demands, go no go checklists. And
people are using their vacations for this
Yes.
rocket building, so it's.
I canceled my vacation.
Oh yeah.
So
I know a lot of people did.
sorry, Italy.
Sorry, Italy.
Italy's always there, but
Yeah,
how often do you get to launch a rocket?
Yeah, Nexø II. That's a better option, I would say so.
Yes.
Go flight.
But do we have any of the diagrams showing the dynamic pressure regulating?
Oh yeah, we have a graph of that. If we could call up the TPR
I could
graph.
see if
It's called 07 thrust TPR. We are being told that it's coming up right now.
because perhaps Scud would want to He's
Yeah.
such an expert at it. It would be fun to
You are
pull
go
him in
for
here.
Could
and
you
have him-
call him in and then?
Yes.
Cameras, over.
Oh, that's not the right one. Yeah, and right now we are live streaming from Copenhagen in a small caravan, so it's actually pretty impressive that Peter Maersk, the guy who also built the Snowmix, has been able to pull off a working green screen diagram. And right now we have, I'm sorry to say, a bit low resolution graph image, and I'm apologizing for that, but that was what we were able to get at short notice. But yep, and you can just pull in here. With us, we have Jørn Skødt.
Hi.
Yeah, Jørn, you're our happy helper. You're all-knowing. You can answer every question.
Yeah.
At least with a yes or no.
Yes,
So, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
So right now we're looking at some graphs. We are talking about the DPR system, but we want to talk a little bit about how does the DPR system work. Could you guide us through the
Yes.
DPR system?
The basic problem with the traditional way of feeding the engine is we have a pressurized gas in the top of the fuel and in the top of the LOX tanks, and when these are depleted,
Yep.
and we use the fuel and so on, this the pressure will fall in this ullage.
Yeah.
The pressure. So we add an extra very extra tank with a very high helium pressure. So we are able to feed each of the tanks with a lot of helium pressure, so that we are able to give the exactly same pressure to the fuel and to the LOX during the whole launch.
And what we see on the graphs here, that's the most important part here. Maybe we could look at the bottom left,
Bottom left,
where
yes.
we see the force from the engine and versus the time. There you can see a force building up, and this force is building up over around 33 seconds or so.
Yes.
But how is that compared to the launch that we will see today?
Pressurized. I can't just see it. This one?
Yep, the one in the bottom left.
That's
Yeah.
from a DPR test.
Yes,
So
that's a
that's,
DPR
that-
test. But what
it-
do we see here compared to what we would
We
see?
will probably see exactly the same curve.
Yeah.
A very flat curve compared to usual system with pressure blow down system, where we'll see a falling thrust.
Yeah.
During the whole launch. Here we have a constant thrust.
Yep.
That's very interesting. With our system, we could also change it a bit, so it was not a constant thrust, but maybe a constant G-force.
Yep.
It depends on so many things. When we come to the human
Yeah.
on board, we will be very interested in controlling the G-force,
Yeah.
so we can deliver a constant acceleration.
Yeah.
For some of the launch period.
Yeah, so that he won't exceed what the human can
Yeah, exactly.
manage. So what we also see here is that we have a build-up that lasts around a bit more than 30 seconds. At the launch today, we will see a burn of 45 seconds approximately.
Approximately 45. We maybe a bit less, but let's see how it goes. It is longer. It's a long burn. As you know, the physical engine or the motor inside this rocket has actually been used before.
Oh, it has.
Yes, we are almost like SpaceX.
Yeah, so we test our engines beforehand.
Yeah, it was the exact motor that was installed in Nexø II.
Ah, okay.
After it has it landed in the sea,
Yeah.
we took it out and looked at got through and installed it on Nexø II.
Okay, so it's actually the same engine.
Exact same engine.
That's funny. And I can just briefly update you that we heard on the radio before that we should expect to be ready to launch at 9:15. And we also can say that right now we are ready for LOX loading. That was the latest confirmation. Also, we have. You should expect that the bottom timeline, it's gone now from our feed, but here it is again. It is a very much faster bullet points that we go through in the timeline. It's not linearly the speed at which this orange bar grows.
Yes, that's right.
When we come to LOX loading, why is this so important that things move faster?
First of all, extreme temperature differences. We are working with a liquid oxygen that is boiling at minus 183 degrees below zero.
Yep.
So there's an extreme temperature difference between the air around us and the liquid LOX inside. So we want to well, we have to let the tank cool down first, but then if we are too late, we are taking too long about the preparation further on, we will boil a lot of the LOX off, and that's not a good thing, because then we have to refill it and so on. We wanted this tank to be as full as it can be.
Yeah, maybe we can call up the graphics of the rocket is split up.
Yeah.
It's made by a graphics artist called Carsten, and he has done this beautiful split image that we will see in a second.
Carsten
Right.
Brandt, sorry.
Carsten Brandt,
Yes,
sorry.
yes,
Okay.
we have a lot of Carstens here.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another guy on the team. And we will hopefully get that image up right away. But in the rocket, then that's the graphs.
The graphs, we need the cut up Nexø II in a cut up state.
Yeah, and then let's also get a small image of the Nexø rocket live instead of looking at us.
Yeah.
So we can look at the rocket right now.
Yeah.
And we'll see that we have a fuel tank sitting above the LOX tank. Is there any reason for that you know of?
No, actually not right that part, because you often see the LOX tank placed on the top of the fuel tank. So in this case,
not really. We don't know.
We have different densities of the materials, but it doesn't have that much.
I guess that doesn't matter, because we have
doesn't
the
matter
DPR
that
system
much right now.
Yeah. So in the top we have our nose cone and our balut.
Yes.
In the nose cone, what's inside of that?
In the nose cone is the balut and the gas. What is it called?
Pressurized gas.
Yeah, there's a little cartridge with like the one you use. Actually, the one you use in a car's airbag system.
Okay.
So the nose cone with the balut will be like an airbag shooting out when the airbag blows. The nose cone is ripped off because there's a number of so-called dog bones.
Yeah. They're looking like dog bones.
Yeah, so, it's small metal flanges that will be ripped apart, and the nose cone will fall off.
Yeah.
And the balut will come out, and it will stabilize the fall of the rocket, so it won't be so erratic as we usually see falling rockets.
Yeah, and also we have a lot of a new antenna system built for this.
Yeah.
It's wrapped around the rocket.
Yes, it's a new. I don't know the exact details, but it's very, very new system where we have wrapped antennas round the outside of the rocket. Very interesting system. It's the blue part you see on the top of the actual rocket when you see the pictures from Sputnik on the sea. And behind that is there's
you can see
number of flat antennas.
Yeah, you can see it on the right now there's a guy in front of the camera, but on the other camera we were actually able to see this blue part, this antenna that is wrapped around.
Yeah, it's called wrap around antennas.
And you can see it. It's in the top part, in the orange part, up in the top of the rocket right now in this image.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have some more man loading off to the main boats here. So we expect, as I said before, that LOX loading will be set forth in a few minutes.
Yes.
Right now, there's a photographer, so that's actually Carsten. So,
that's Carsten.
Yeah,
yes.
so he's not the one. He's not the one drawing these nice drawings of our rocket, but he's doing a lot of images for us for later use. If you want to learn more about the Nexø II rocket or any other rocket series, you can do if you go into our webpage. It's copsup.com. You can also see there we have all this operation are being built from donations. So if you want to see more rocket launches and see us build the larger rocket, the Speaker rocket, then please remember to support the project.
Yes.
We have actually some images of the Speaker rocket, the planned rocket.
Yes.
Could we call up the 08 image? And also then we have a lot of Speaker, a lot of images here. And as we wait for that, we can say that, as we mentioned earlier, maybe not everyone has heard because you have attended this streamer later. This is a pre-state for a larger rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, but first of all, this is we call it a technology demonstrator.
Yeah.
This launch of the Nexø I and Nexø II will demonstrate that we are able to control that. We have the complete control over this technology that is necessary.
DPR system.
The DPR system, all the electronics, the attitude control, the steering of the rocket, and so on, and the parachute system, which is in itself is extremely complicated, to be able to launch a rocket of the size of Speaker, which is a 1 meter rocket. It is 1 meter in diameter, and with a capsule on top of it with the space enough to hold a human being.
Yeah, there's room for him here, and he will not sit comfortable, but he will be in there.
Yeah, but it's a kind of comfortable because we have talked about it. It's very important you can stretch about while waiting, but it is you're sitting in a very comfy way for a period of maybe 15 minutes. If you're sitting there for an hour or two, I think you will have some problems. Yes.
As you see so with funny. The Soyuz launches, that people are strapped in. Andreas Mogensen, the Danish astronaut, a good friend of Copenhagen Suborbitals as well, he said that he was very sore in his legs after being there for a couple of hours before launch. So it's you're sitting in an awkward position and you cannot move. It's never funny. Yeah, but that's of course for safety's sake, that you're not able to injure yourself during the landing. Exactly, and the takeoff, because the G-forces can be quite immense. And right now we are still looking at the Nexø II rocket. It's wrapped in some kind of tinfoil right now. Why is that? That's an insulation around the LOX tank.
we have, as told, we have a very high temperature difference between the weather outside at 25 degrees Celsius and the boiling logs inside at minus 183 degrees Celsius. We don't want the logs to boil off too early.
Nope.
Because we have to fill it up all the time. We want it to be full when we launch. So we have made an insulation which is ripped off just before launch.
Okay, so that's the last guy on
Yes.
Launchpad that are
Yes.
taking off that.
Yes.
Okay.
We could have made it with wires that would rip it off physically, but that meant we had to test that part in an earlier system to be sure that it wouldn't destroy something else.
Yeah.
So we have chosen the easy, trustworthy way. A guy goes to the installation and removes it. Yeah.
Okay, and if someone is listening to the radio chatter before, it was just some in Danish, some talk about the camera positioning. So no important information to gather from that. So also we have, I just want to mention that the beautiful drawings of the speaker rockets before were drawn by Jonas Linell, another of our graphic artists.
Yes.
He's also some very beautiful images that he makes of it. So right now we're just waiting for a new status update, and you guys at home can be sure that we will update you as soon as we get some more information.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us what's in the box they are opening and closing? Is that box removed before launch?
Oh, most of the material. Just a second, I have a problem with the sound here. It's aluminum or a.
Oh, it's a wooden crate.
That will be that will stay on the Sputnik.
Okay.
The forces put on Sputnik during the launch isn't actually that bad, because if you look at Sputnik, it's a very funny vehicle, boat or whatever. There's the whole the top of the what is it called? The floor,
deck.
The deck is actually holes.
Yeah.
You can see directly through to the sea.
Okay.
So all the flames and the immense winds that comes during the actual launch will pass through the wrist, will pass through the floor.
Yeah, the deck. Yeah.
Yeah. And that means that the surroundings are actually not that bad
for the vessel.
Exactly.
Okay. How fast does it sail? Because it must take some time to get the more than 100 kilometers over to the SD 139 from Copenhagen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when it's sailing by itself, it's only sailing 3 knots or so.
Okay.
That's nautical knots.
Yeah.
So on this trip to Bornholm, we had it actually tied up to Bolette Munksholm, and that dragged the vessel all the way to Bornholm.
Okay, so it's been dragged.
Yeah, and in that way we reached a speed approximately almost double as much as earlier.
Okay, so it's still quite a lot of time that it takes to get over there.
Still, yes.
A couple of days that we use for transportation and logistics, and people are taking off their almost the entire week to prepare for this.
In this case, it was the whole week for some of them, because we wanted to launch last weekend and didn't succeed because of events in Sweden with the fire.
Yeah, we have forest fires, as mentioned earlier as well. We have the air traffic control in Sweden that cancelled it.
They cancelled it because they had simply too much to do with all the foreign planes helping with the
Okay.
With the fires.
Okay, we have an update coming up.
We still have a lot of guys out on the platform.
Yeah.
So when the thing is getting really serious, we see that people are removed from the platform.
Yeah.
Because we can only have very essential personnel on board.
Yep.
Would anyone be so kind as to catch me when he flies by? I'll just hold up my hand and I'm surprised you can go this fast. That's the fastest you have ever seen me go.
Okay, so sorry for the short interruption here. We just got a message that in about 5 minutes we will have to cut off the speaker sound for some technical reasons, and we will of course get back to you afterwards, and at all times follow the live stream of the Nexø II rocket.
As I understand, people will listen to the radio. So we will not interfere with the very important and very fast communication that we expect in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's because of the LOX loading will begin.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the questions from some of the viewers from earlier. They have asked, is it possible for you to not speak on the when we have the interesting essential radio communication, please do not speak over it.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons why.
And then can be some problems there with the delays so that we interrupt it. So, but you can also go to the mosaic view of this live stream, where you will be able to listen to the P5, the radio, and just the images of this rocket instead of listening to us talk about it. So the last thing I want to talk about here before you leave, that's the LOX tank. We can see it in the picture right now.
Yeah. The insulated part, yes.
Yeah, but the insulated part. Why do you say that?
It's insulated from. We have this metallic surface you see around it, wrapped around, is actually insulation.
It's over here. You can see it here.
No. I thought you took it.
Oh no.
No, this one. Yes, sorry. The big one, the Divar.
Yeah.
The Divar. Yeah.
It's over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but how much liquid oxygen is with us? Are there more than enough? Do we have, if something fails, can we fill it up 2 times, or is that?
We can fill it up several times.
Several times.
There's the last status, and that's a couple of days ago. It said there was around 400 liters,
okay,
or kilograms of LOX in that tank, and we don't lose that much during evaporation, but
we just got a floating hand adjusting your microphone, and that's of course it's Mikkel Köhler, our producer. He's making sure that you can listen to everything that we say. Yeah, so we have this LOX tank, and we have enough LOX, and we should be ready in a couple of minutes to see the LOX loading begin.
Yes, that's right. Let's see, what can we read from the surroundings. We have a lot of guys already out in the RIP boat.
Yeah. How many RIPs do we have now? Because we just got a sponsored boat.
Yeah, can I remember, because then we had one off and another one came to.
It was from
three
DST.
or 3 or 4 out on the sea right now.
Was it from the Danish
We call
Space
them all
Challenge?
RIPs, but yeah, that's right. We have from the Danish Space Challenge, another group of rocket enthusiasts in Denmark, which who does really much for education
Yeah.
in the schools around in Denmark. They have some boats, and they have given us as a gift one of their ribs.
Yeah. We want to
And
thank them
yes,
for that, of course. Thank you very much.
because of an engine error we have seen on it. It's still standing here in Copenhagen.
Okay.
But then they came all the way from Jutland to Bornholm and have delivered their own rib boat.
Okay, another rib boat. So
Yeah,
we
another rib
borrowed
boat.
one
So
for.
they're actually coming here and helping us on their own
Yeah, and
money and time and so on. So.
on earlier launches, we also had the Marine helping us out. They're not here today.
Yeah, I could say we don't need them, but it would be nice to have them because they have a more well. It's easier to for them to make people understand that they have to leave the area.
They were there to enforce
yes.
the no fly and no boat zone.
Exactly, because we don't want people to get hurt. And right now it's we do it ourselves, and it puts a little pressure on our organization, but it is our problem, so it's all right.
Yeah. So people are being told that they should not sail into this zone, this ESD 139. So at least while the engine is on, and while we prepare here, we cannot launch the rocket if someone is in the zone.
That is correct.
We actually had on the Nexø I, we had troubles with a lot of boats coming into the ESD 139.
Yes.
So we of course hope that this won't be an issue again.
Exactly.
But we can't know because
We
that's
can-
out of our control.
Exactly.
Okay, so right now I see that some hissing from the top of the rocket.
They
Is
are
that-
using ear protection. I can see.
Yeah, and why is that?
It seems they are venting the LOX tank.
Yeah.
I can't hear the radio communication, but it seems it's a venting of the LOX tank. They are maybe the valve had got stuck. It should be remotely controlled. Right now you see a lot of steam coming out. Actually, it's not steam. Oh, well, it is steam.
Could it be this point 713 where they open the LOX vent valve?
Yes.
And then it's just prior of
But
the LOX loading
there must be a
process.
reason why he had to climb up the ladder.
Okay, he doesn't do that normally.
Normally not.
Okay. We did this sea acceptance test where we did all these this process. Was this included in the sea acceptance test?
It's exactly the same. There may be a few adjustments, but these papers they're flicking around all the time. That's the complete plan with all the checklists, and you can find that on
Yeah, we
on
mentioned that
our,
earlier.
Yeah,
You can go into the our webpage copsub.com and look for the article called "Go for Launch," and in that article you can download the flight plan. And the papers in our corner here, that's not in the studio.
That's actually in the back.
Somebody in the background trying to figure out where we are in the flight plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think we will get the message that we need to cut off the audio from the studio, but we'll just wait for a second.
Så må de bare. Then let's see the launch together.
Yeah, so right now we are being told that we need to cut down on the audio chatter here, and we'll just listen with you to the radio chatter. And you can, as we said earlier, go into the copsat.com and look at the flight plan yourself and follow along with us. We are not far from being
at
able
point
to launch.
number around
7:15 at least.
Yeah. Yes.
stadigvæk kun gas. Jeg synes, vi prøver igen. Jeg tror, den gør det hver gang, at antennen stiger sig. Så om det kommer op fra, eller om det kommer... Hvor kommer det fra? Kan vi se det overhovedet?
We read you at 50 liters, over.
Yeah, we were just about to phone it in. We still have a lot of boiling off, so expect boil-off rate to be high, over.
Yes, you also have 4 bars in the tank, over.
Det ved vi godt. Jeg er snart nede på 10.
Flight pad.
Go pad.
This pad for locks. We have the main Dura supply line closed off, settling hopefully at 60 liters, over.
Yes, I say we continue with the plan and then we top off at step 720. Over.
This is pad, we concur.
So that means 714 is complete, correct?
That means step 714 is completed, over.
Pad.
Go flight.
We have got, it is moving to launch position 715. Please do it over.
750.
Have that flight.
Go flight.
We are at 716. We will turn on video transmitter now. Over.
Noted. Please continue.
Jeg vil gerne se den falde så meget tryk som overhovedet muligt derinde nu. Men jeg tror alligevel, at vi ender med at fylde langt. Vi er nødt til at overflåde, fordi ellers så går det for stærkt.
Blå rib, er du på 67 skift? DST rib, er du på 67 skift? DST rib, det er flight skift. Her er DST rib, kanal 67 skift. Tak for det. Rød rib, det er flight, er I på 67 skift?
67.
Det er modtaget, tak for det. Pad flight.
Flight.
Vi er stadig i færd med at spænde videosenderen op. Standby.
Modtaget.
Pad flight.
No flight.
716 complete. Over.
Noted. 716 completed. Roger.
717 is also completed, as we will top off soon. Over.
717 completed.
That means you will go for 718, video and photo, board blue rib, and move to launch position. Over.
It is affirmed. Initiating 718. Standby.
And if you can, simultaneously make Sputnik crew board DSC rib. Over.
This is Pat. You want me to initiate 719? Over.
Correct.
This is Pat. Initiating 719. Standby. Flight, Pat, over.
Go.
Have some bonus info from logs. Boil off rate is approximately 1 liter per minute, over.
Thank you. Jakob, når du har fat i Rune, kan du lige spørge ham, skal han i rød rib, eller skal han på Tetys skift?
Flight, hvid rib. Vi tager ham ombord her direkte. Vi ligger på ydersiden af rød rib, så han ryger over med det samme.
Perfekt.
Flight, Pat.
Go.
Can confirm 718 completed. Video and photo is in blue rib and moving into position.
Thank you.
Likewise, I can confirm 719 Sputnik crew is aboard DST rib and moving off, over.
Thank you. Go for 720, top off locks to 61 liters, 61 liters, over.
This is pad, 61 liters, confirm.
61, that is correct. All stations, this is flight. Launch is 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes from launch.
Flight pad.
Go pad.
Step 720, locks top up is in progress, over.
Thank you. Pad, we see you at 64 liters. I think this is good. Okay.
This is pad. We have stopped the locks loading. We have depressurized the fill line, and we are detaching, not detaching fill line. Stand by. Pad here. Report 720 complete. Over.
Good. Now we need to speed it up. Carry out 721. Detach fill line. Over.
721 in progress, stand by. Fly pad.
Go.
Report step 721 completed, over.
Thank you. 722, evacuate Sputnik. Confirm. Over.
Roger, this is pad. I can confirm step 722 completed. I am last man standing on Sputnik, over.
Then carry out 723, please. Over.
Carrying out 723, stand by. Flight pad.
Go.
I can confirm 723 completed. Ignition key inserted, over.
All right, 724, remove igniter short. Confirm when safe.
boarding red rib and pulling plug. Stand by. Flight path.
Go.
I am in red rib and we are moving off slowly and pulling igniter. Stand by.
Hvid rib. Er I også på vej vækskift?
Hvid rib, vi er i position. Flight pad.
Go. Go pad.
Rød rib her. Raketten er med, og vi er på vej væk.
Tak for det. Alright, we are software armed. Rocket is in internal power. Guidance navigation computer is armed. Video transmitter is high power. Everybody, go no go call. Stand by. ISO, go no go. ISO is go. DSC rib, go no go. This is DSC rib, we are go. Blue rib. Blue rib, go no go. Blue rib, go no go. Blue rib, go. Fido. Fido's go. Guido. Guidance is go. Data. Data is go. We are go for launch. Auto sequence start about to start. We are go for launch. Auto sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. T-minus 30 seconds and counting. Seconds. Tanks pressurizing. Fuel tank at flight pressure. T-minus 10 seconds. LOX tank at flight pressure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Lift off. meters. $2,000 meters. 3,000 meters. 4,000 meters. 5,000 meters. We have main engine cut off. 6,000 meters. Nose cone off. Apogee. Chute is deployed. Chute is carrying the rocket nose up. $5,000 meters. $4,000 meters. $3,000 meters. And we have parachute deployment. Parachute deployment. Stand by for reefing. $2,500 meters.
Fly pad over.
Flip bearing 272, bearing 272.
Fido, white rib, confirmation, we see the parachute.
Blue Reap, do you see the parachute? Over. $2,200 meters.
White rib, visual on parachute, coming down slow through the clouds.
Blue Rip, this is Fido. Do you have visual? $2,000 meters.
White rib, we have visual on parachute with carrying rocket, we can see it.
Blue Rip, this is Fido. Do you have a visual? Over. Blue Rip, the rocket is now bearing 83 from you, bearing 83.
Mission control, white rib, we have confirmation on nose cone going towards it.
Roger. Blue Rip, this is Fido. Do you copy? Over.
We have a visual and we are on track.
Roger. We currently have no GPS fix, so it's good that you have visual. Altitude is now 1,500 meters. $900 meters. $600 meters. Blue Rip, the rocket is bearing 7373. $350 meters. $100 meters, stand by for splashdown. 50 meters. And we have surface contact. All stations, all stations, all stations. This is Fido. The rocket is down. The rocket is down.
Rød Rip her, Bolette, kom ind.
Blue Rip, Blue Rip.
Rød Rip, Bolette, kom ind.
Ja, Bolette.
Kan vi sætte crewet af, pad-crewet af? Hos jer nu?
Ja, tak.
Roger, over.
Blå rip til flight. Flemming, jeg kan ikke garantere, at systemerne ombord på raketten er slukket. Batterisystemet fejl kører det ikke, da den shutdown-sekvens det skulle. Så I skal være varsomme med videosenderen.
Det er modtaget. Vi har, knæsekeglen i sigte og går efter den skift.
Lækkert.
Rød Rip, Bolette, pejling afstand.
Ja, gå Blå Rip.
Næsekejle nede i 0,50 fra lige position, cirka 500-600 kilometer.
Modtaget Hvid Rip. Havde I noget signal fra den på vej ned?
Det er negativ.
Det er modtaget, tak.
Mission Control, Hvid Rip. Kan vi få flyet til at prøve at cirkle over næsekejlen, så vi har en bæringsskift?
Standby. Wide rib. We have the nose cone at starboard from mission control, over.
Hvid rib, det er modtaget. Vi prøver at få lidt længere ud nu af pendelskift. Bolette rib, gå ind til næskallen og bjergen. Pas på liner i vandet, Det er modtaget. Vi kommer ned mod dig straks. Jeg har næsekøjlen 5 meter på min styrbord ved bjergen først. Afleverer per crew.
All stations, the nose cone has been recovered.
Blå rib, vi er på vej mod dig. Mission control, hvid rib, det er hvor vi så går ned, var Baltic Sea.
Det er modtaget. Blue rib, this is mission control. Do you have secured the rocket, over? Blue rib, this is mission control, come. Blue rib, do you have secured the rocket, over?
Bolette, blå rib.
Ja, Bolette.
I prøver på at få fat på os. Vi prøver at svare jer gentagne gange.
Ja, beklager, vi har ikke hørt jer.
Men nu kan vi tale sammen.
Ja.
Vi har sikret raketten, den slæber vi lige så langsomt efter blå rib nu.
Det er godt at høre.
Men vi vil meget gerne have Bolette ned og tage imod.
Vi er på vej imod jer.
Det lyder rigtig godt. Vi er 1 mil ude og går 6 knop. Vi er hos os straks. Det er nødt tak.
All stations, we have confirmed that Blue Rib has secured the rocket and mission control is currently on the way to salvage it.
Fido, Pat, skift.
Go, Pat.
Så må I beslutte jer, skal vi ombord hos jer, eller skal vi ud og assistere raketten, fordi vi gider ikke hænge bagpå her, skift?
Stand by. Ja, Pat Crew, I må gerne komme ombord nu. Vi sætter lige farten ned.
Modtaget, vi kan klar til at stige ombord.
Rød rib her, Mission Control, kom.
Rød rib her.
I må gerne gå ud og assistere blå rib, så bare gå fremad.
Modtaget.
All stations, we have just taken aboard the pack crew on mission control and wait for the rig with the blue rib.
Blå rib billettet.
Ja, kom blå rib.
Ja, blå rib her. Blå rib her billettet, jeg skal lige høre, har vi liner i vandet, eller er de bjerget ombord?
De er bjerget ombord, der er kun én line, som hænger efter blå rib.
Det er modtaget, jeg kommer ned på jeres, jeg holder på min sluder. Jeg kommer ned på jeres bagbord side.
Hvid rib, det er Fido. Hvad er jeres position? Hvid rib, hvad er jeres position? Fido, hvid rib her. Hvad er jeres positionsskift?
39 nord, 53, 7639.
Det er modtaget. Hvad er jeres pejling lige nu i forhold til Brette?
Blå rød bolette, jeg ligger stille i vandet, jeg kobler ud i styret herfra.
Det er modtaget.
Fido, ja, kom videre.
Ude for jer. Lige nu sådan der. Fido, ved Rippe.
Gå ud, Rippe.
Turnér til Bolette, hvis det er okay med jer. Vi kan ikke finde valuten herude.
Det er modtaget. All stations, the data confirms that we had apogee at 6,500 meters, that is 6,500 meters. All stations, this is Mission Control. We now have the Nexø II rocket aboard the Mission Control ship, and it looks beautiful. It is in perfect condition.
Okay, and just a brief update for you guys out there. Thank you for watching this very successful launch here. We have a lot of data to go through, but we can just summarize it, some of it right now. We had a maximum height of 6.5 kilometers, so it underperformed a little bit, but we saw a successful balloon deployment, and we had our cameras working as they should. We also did see the first reefing stage, I think it's called, that did deploy as it should, but the second did not deploy. And then we have also secured both the rocket and the nose cone, and we will come back with more information as it comes in.
Mission Control, it seems like congratulations to the Department for Slow-Moving Objects.
Yes, we agree. I think that this calls for that Maersk needs to go in the water.
Yeah, remember to take off his camera and phone, but Maersk is definitely the first time he got something down in a parachute, so he needs to be baptized. But it is a sincere congratulations from my rib. It was beautiful to see. I got some pretty okay pictures of the rocket coming down in the chute.
Jeg lagde da godt mærke til det.
Okay, we did it.
We did it. We're back.
Or someone in the Baltic Sea did. So we're back again, and we are happy to announce that we had a successful launch. It was a complete launch that the Nexø II rocket underperformed a little bit compared to the 13 kilometers. We were in a height of 6.5 kilometers, but we are very happy here in Hub and looking forward to discuss the flight with the other guys. More details will of course come up on the copshub.com webpage within the next couple of weeks here, and from here on we are just happy to see that we could see the cameras. We had some nice images from almost 7 kilometers up, and we could see the island of Bornholm very clearly during the launch. Yeah, it was a great experience, and we didn't see the full height. We didn't see the full height, but we of course get a lot of data from this that we can.
And actually, we want to just mention that we don't really care how high it flew.
No.
That wasn't the importance of it. We knew it was going to fly between a certain height and not more than 13-14 kilometers.
Yep.
But 6 is fine too.
Yeah, and we
6.5.
also we see that the hopefully that the DPR system worked as it should.
It did.
Yeah, but more information will come on the webpage, and you will almost certainly see graphs, nice graphs of the thrust, and and see exactly how it flew and how high.
That's one thing, is we can't see from here from the studio, since we're not on the mission control ship. We don't have access to the graphs and data yet. But from what we saw, to me it looked like sorry, not the DPR system. That's kind of hard to see, but the jet vanes and the direction of the flight was perfect.
Yeah.
And when I saw that rocket coming back down the Nexø II, I thought, next thing is landing here. That's how I felt.
Okay, well.
But anyway, that's just me personally getting excited.
Yeah, and we just saw in the image we saw the Nexø II rocket. It has been picked up by Bolette Munkholm, the ship, the largest of our ships in our fleet. And people are right now picking it apart to get information out of it, and to see how things performed during the flight.
I want to say, though, I do have one piece of evidence for what I'm saying is true, and that is we saw the nose cone.
Yeah.
And from the look of the nose cone, it looked like the pressure on it had been quite equal all around the different angles.
Ripped apart.
Right, and that tells me that the rocket was flying quite nicely when the balut
possibly
popped out.
From here on out, we will just say thank you very much for looking at this, and also thank you to all of our supporters. We need to thank them as well. This is a donation run only by donation. So we need from our supporters, and we are very happy that we have them. And
afvente, om vi skulle have nogle tweet-folk med til dualtårnet, eller om vi kan sejle ind af.
DPR system works as it's supposed to do. And from here on out,
det er modtaget. Vi
Thank
hænger
you so
lidt ud.
much, and join us next time.
Cool. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Det er CET her i midten.
Her er det.
gerne gå ind med elektrikdrengene, vil gerne alt gradet op fra Bornholmertårnet i jeres lastbil og have det med jeres lastbil hjem. Skift.
Det er modtaget.
Men vi begynder først demonteringen, når vi er kommet ind, så I skal bare gå ind nu.
Det er modtaget slut.
Windy har hvid rib, lead the way, og vi følger efter. Skift. Og ikke for hurtigt, vi banker lidt.
Hold stille og roligt den af, så vi banker også, når det går for stærkt her, så... Men jeg skal lige holde den planende sådan lidt i hvert fald.
Det er samme her. Rød rib, på dette, kom ind.
Ja, rød rib, på lettet.
Det er for rød rib, hvornår vi kan begynde at sejle ind af.
Rød rib, på lettet, gentag.
Vi skal høre for rød rib, hvornår vi kan forlade stedet og sejle ind af.
Værsgo, I har fri manøvre, vi afgår mod Nexø nu.
OK. Tak.
Det er bestemt os, der siger tak.
På lette, lille røv her.
Ja, på lettet.
Vi vil gerne komme ind med et kamera.
Det er modtaget. Jeg går på stik vest, og så går jeg ned til 2 knop.
Så.
Sputnik, but do you know the cross the T?
Bolette, gentag signal.
Ja, jeg hører Bolette. Jeg skal bare høre, om I kender cross the T.
Sorry, gentag signal.
Ja, det er Bolette, vi får igen uden du kommunikation på banen. Kender I cross the T?
No.
Det er en Marsa-reference.
Okay, nej, det gør vi ikke.
Når man lægger sig på tværs af sejlretningen. Vi vil afholde en martyraften ved lejlighed, hvor I vil blive uddannet korrekt.
Det er modtaget.
Og lytte.